Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jan 12 Tinderbox Meetup. For those that are still trying to figure out the schedule for 2025, we are still doing every other Saturday and every other Sunday. We just swapped them and offset them by one when we kicked off the new year. So be sure to check out the Tinderbox calendar. We'll put it in the meetup calendar. We'll put it in the chat because I noticed a couple of you tried to log in yesterday, and hopefully, they'll make it today. So, what we do in these meetups is we go around the room and we introduce new people, and/or we reintroduce new people where we haven't seen their face in ages, like Kenneth James here, who's been plagued with video and audio challenges. So he's on his new Mac, and it's great to see your face finally, Kenneth. We then talk about projects that we're working on or themes that we may be doing, and luckily we've got Mr. Bernstein here too. So let's let him give us any announcements and topics that he's updated on. So, Mark, you want to come off mute and let us know what's on your mind?
I think I am unmuted.
You are.
Hooray. So here we are. It's January 12th, and I am multitasking with a dark chicken stock. So I will have to duck out now and then to make sure that the stock isn't frothing.
Nice. That sounds really yummy. What are you making with it?
Well, I always want to have it on hand, but I did a onion soup with just onions yesterday, and I think I might use some of the stock in a risotto and some in a split pea soup.
Nice. Maybe you can pull a Tinderbox file together for us with your recipe. Those are all things my daughter absolutely loves.
Well, it's hard
Yeah,
to put the split pea soup into the Tinderbox,
that's true. That's true.
and often messy.
Okay, so Winterfest is over. So can you give us an update how to go and was it successful this year?
On the whole, pretty well. Uh, Certainly, Tinderbox did fine. I understand you're happy with the Tinderbox 101 course. Uh,
Yeah, we have 14 students in one capacity or another, either
that's
live or
terrific.
watching the videos. Yeah.
Uh, it's a difficult time for software, especially, well, it's a difficult time for software that isn't bundled with hardware. And no one is entirely sure why. I think it has something to do with millions of people deciding they don't want to work so much. And that's bad for productivity software.
Yeah, okay. And also too, maybe while you're talking about that too, there is a big distinction in software too, and I'm gonna break a little bit of hopefully not confidences, but in the pre-draft of Thinking with Tinderbox, you noted and I've seen it in other channels too, the way software is being and applications are being actually built on the web layer as opposed to on the OS layer, and that's
Mm-hmm.
also causing some problem. Not I don't want to call problems, but it's making software more the same, if you will, and you're not getting as much of the kind of really uniqueness of the of what it's like when you're actually coding at the OS level versus at an abstraction layer on the browser level. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Uh, well, there's both a technical and a business issue here. The advantage to web apps is that you don't have to install them. And this reduces the barrier to entry, and that it's easy to deprive people who haven't paid their annual fee of access to the app, which is harder and less pleasant for uh, desktop developers. But the real issue is that a major vendor of web apps is an organization called Google. And Google is also a large, uh, unreplaceable source of advertising inventory. And Google, shall we say, discriminates aggressively against desktop software. And they claim that's just because it's a bug infested, scandal ridden quagmire like pornography. And I say, yeah, but you've got more interest in it than pornography.
Yep.
But
And
let's not get Bernstein started on that.
yeah, and then there are advantages to the native app though too, in terms of because when you're building on the web layer and basically Chromium or WebKit or Geeko in the case of like Mozilla apps, the three kind of web layer open source kits, you lose a certain fidelity to the operating system functionality, which and so there's some benefits to the native app. Maybe you can talk about that a
Oh,
little bit.
huge benefits. You're much closer to the machine, so you can use more of the machine. Now, this might not seem to matter because machines are so fast, but in fact, there are some amazing things you can do uh, if you're close to the machine, and things like text editing work right, which they never quite do in web apps because they're always re-implementations of a native editing experience. And having lived through the era where one had to license text engines in order to get decent text editing, or with absurd operating system uh, limits. Originally, story space writing spaces were limited to 32K tops because that's all Apple thought anyone would ever need to edit at its time. And
Whoops.
32K is not much. I mean,
Hmm.
that's 10,000 words. That's an article. And of course, few people on here have written books, which are substantially larger. Uh,
Yes.
so good old Mark Anderson and I and a couple of other researchers are doing a new visual hypertext visualization that simply requires direct access to the GPU of the
Mm.
graphics processing unit, which is an amazing piece of hardware, it turns out. And I've never touched with bare hands before, but boy, it does a lot of work. And on that note, um, for book of the week, which I may make a feature, this is what I spent Friday reading. Emergent Tokyo, Designing the Spontaneous City. Terrific book about how cities evolve and how you can learn about it by studying things like the post-war Tokyo black market and its effect on the restaurant industry today.
Nice. Okay. Can you drop a URL in the chat for us so I can include that in our notes for the meetup?
I will try to find a URL for it.
All right. Okay. And any other notes or thoughts that you have in mind that you want to give to the community before we kick in for the day's conversation?
Go ahead.
All right. So, what's on people's minds? Obviously, I have projects, so I can consume the entire hour and a half or the next 20 hours, depending on your so desire. But before we dig into things that my show and tell, what are people working on? What projects are they trying to accomplish with Tinderbox? I'd love to hear from Win Treese to see if he's made any progress on his work, and maybe you can show some of it to us. Bill.
Hi, everybody. So I just want to share that um, I'm working, I want to find a writing system, a word processor system that I can write short things, long things, scientific things. I want a general purpose. And I asked my wife if she would consider, does she have any interest in writing in HTML? No, I like Word. It's easy. And I find that interesting. Personally, I'm interested in mainly PDF. My writing now is most of it, 99% of it is email is sufficient, but I want a system for writing more. And I'm kind of settling that through I'm going to try Tinderbox as my writing tool. Along with right now I'm thinking Quarto, Pandoc, and that so I can hopefully easily shift between HTML and PDF. So I did some work towards that and I've wasted a ton of time. I just made a simple TBX file. I can write hello world and get that in HTML or PDF. That's great. And then I just made a simple list. Whoa, the list will render in HTML if I write it one way. It won't render in PDF if I do it the same way. And I'm discovering that I have to write differently. I have to code differently if I want output in PDF in a list or in HTML. So I'm just going through this process of, and I'm a total beginner, at Quatro, at Pandoc, I don't know how to modify the main sections of that yet. I'm really at a very, very beginning level. But I wanted to just share that I'm thinking now of starting as Tinderbox as the source material and then getting it out. And hopefully in PDF or HTML in some fashion that looks pretty. So and it wouldn't have gone this way, Michael, if it weren't for all your um, discussion, about starting with Tinderbox, so I'm making progress.
Perfect. And on that note, so as you know, I do everything from social media posts to full books and all of the associated materials there, and that's really the focus of the class, the Tinderbox 101 class I'm teaching in this cohort is just that. And in my school, I'll drop it on the in the chat. I've launched a commercial template I'm offering for writing articles and such that you could use to possibly leverage that. That might be something you want to take a look at. Mr. Bernstein.
Yeah, just a thought about the need to write differently depending on the output medium. We've all encountered situations like that, but that's a code smell. Your goal should be to have a system, a way of writing, a style that is independent of the destination format. So, for example, if you have a way of doing lists, say you use Tinderbox quick lists, you should have a way ultimately that gets those lists into HTML if you're exporting to HTML, makes them properly formatted lists for Pandoc if you're going to Pandoc. This is sometimes requires a little bit of work, usually not very much, but there are times when even a little bit is too much to do right now. So you just tinker with it just a little bit in order to get it exported. But the goal should always be that you have one markup and Pandoc or Quarto or whatever deals with that markup and does the right thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And what there are, and but then you have the nuances in the edge cases. So, for example, if you produce an HTML document and publish it out of Tinderbox, or even copy it and paste it out of Preview, you can get it into, say, Google Docs, and all of the HTML headings are instantly captured. But if you bring that over to Microsoft Word, Word ignores all of your standard HTML headings and wants to use its own. And so we've talked about this in previous meetups, and so we can find them again, or I'll teach another class on it. You need to wrap, much like you have to do an email too, because email Outlook inboxes for email. If you're doing any kind of commercial email, you need to properly wrap your text around MSO properly. Add MSO conditional tags so that if it's being opened up, if that email is being opened up in a Microsoft Outlook family of email clients, they won't render properly without those tags. So if you're going to Word, there's a wrapper of tags that you need to put around your headings so that they translate from HTML1 to Microsoft Word heading 1, heading 2. So those are like little nuances that you just have to, it just is. You just have to be aware that that's code you need to put in for it to work.
Right, but let your style sheet and
Let your
or
style sheet handle or your template handle
or
that.
Pandoc do that.
Mm.
Just to anticipate this, you will need to do a certain amount of simple semantic markup. For example, you're again going back to bullet lists. You need to tell the system where the bullet list begins and ends, and you need to tell it where each bullet item begins and ends. And that's on you. You can't use the old tricks we all used of like 5 spaces to indent your bullets. You need to tag that stuff, but you should be able to build automatic tooling that will do all of the other tag transformations that you need for various media.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then one other point, nuance to point out too, and it's not a critique or criticism. It's be aware of context. So in the context, just so going back to one point, Mark, you mentioned let Pandoc do it. Pandoc doesn't handle the word translations. So it took me 2 years to find it, but I finally found the code you need to wrap around headers, even when you're pushing it from Tinderbox or any HTML document into Word through Pandoc. It's the only way to get Word to recognize and transform an HTML header to a Word header. Took me 2 years to find it. I finally discovered it was a little Easter egg on the internet. So we can share that later. The other thing is if you're writing in Markdown, and this is something to be aware of, and it actually is really cool. And why don't we just demonstrate it really quick if we want? Let me get screens away. If you're writing in Markdown in Tinderbox, which you can, and many of us do, the mark in the standard default for a Tinderbox file is to let me get this step out of the way. So the standard default for a Tinderbox file is to have the indent capability put in place. So we'll just open up a new file. We'll hit note. We'll call this a list. And excuse me.
It puts block quotes in when you indent.
Yeah. Well, and if you go here, like let's drop in lorem ipsum element here. Is my text expander not working?
You're misspelling lorem.
Am I? No, my text expander doesn't seem to be working. There we go. It wasn't running. There we go. So let's say you have a bulleted list. You'll note that in about a release or two ago, and it's actually quite nice. Mark has for the sake of facilitating bulleted lists, has added in an automated, and I'll show the preview pane. So if you go to the window menu and select Show Text Pane Selector, you can get the text pane selector popping up, and you can see it. And you'll notice that you're getting the nice bulleted lists using that methodology. And we'll just call it bullet 2, bullet 3. So this works great. I'll go like here. And then if I and then and there's some issues like now this got formatted in. So sometimes what you may need to do is go and reset the margin sizes on that. Select that content and go to notes, style, format, style, reset margins of the selected text, and that will reset that element there. So when you're rendering, that creates a nice outputted list. However, if you're working in Markdown, so let's say you have the CommonMark engine running, and you want to hit Command 1 to open up the inspector. My inspector's got to come over. Come on. My computer's all laggy right now. And we'll go to the quick stamp. Got a ghost in there moving the thing around. Quick stamp, Markdown equals true. So now we're telling, hang on, wait a minute. Oh, text Markdown, HTML Markdown, there we go. That one. What's going on?
I believe the one you want
Is that one markup text? That one? No. Which one do I want?
You want
Not that one?
Markdown one, Markdown without a capital D.
That one. Okay. Yeah, but why isn't it letting me set it to? Oh, because I'm in the text export pane. There we go. No, now I got to select the note. There we go. Okay, so I've set this note. Yeah, so I've gone ahead, and you can automate this, so you're not having to, with prototypes, so you're not having to manually do it on notes. But I've set this note to be rendered, telling Tinderbox render me in Markdown, and I'm telling Tinderbox which HTML preview command I want it to use. And you can either use the CommonMark or Markdown. So CommonMark is one, the other one is Markdown. Is the other Markdown engine that you can have that Mark supports. And then if you and then you can also through command line or through say like add a different markdown syntax and then just tell Tinderbox with via the command line where it's going. Those are other things we can explain.
So let
But
me
what
well, I'm going to interrupt.
Mhm.
When you export from here, what I found is that Tinderbox puts a little new paragraph at every bulleted item, and that messes things up when you try to render it.
Well, let's see. It shouldn't, because look, this is a perfectly formatted HTML. And so let's go ahead and export it. Like I'm going to go to the file menu. Oops, let me select the note to get it out of preview. Go to the file menu, hit export as selected note. Let's drop it on downloads. Downloads.
Oh,
File. Okay, so I'm going to export that list. And let's go see what we've
the
got.
bullets weren't indented. There'd be a new paragraph. When they are indented, each line will get a block quote. Each line.
Yeah, let's take a look. All right, so there's the file we just exported. And we will open with a browser. And it looks fine to me. So you're not seeing that?
Well, I went through Quarto, and maybe that's what caused it. Yeah, some things work fine when you go straight out of Tinderbox and make an HTML file. But if you make a QMD file, different behavior.
Different stuff. Yeah, and so that's what I found with leveraging Pandoc too. And so those are the little intricacies that you need to think through depending on the different application you're interfacing with. But it'd be fun to kind of maybe we talk about that offline, or you can show us and we can look at it right now if you want to share your screen. We can play with that. What I have found sometimes though is, or if you're writing in Markdown, depending on your formatting, the pre-indenting, and it didn't do it in this case, even though we're rendering in Markdown right now, the pre-indenting can sometimes get misinterpreted by Pandoc or another tool as a pre-formatted indented list. You get the style sheet gets messed up. And so if you're liking writing in Markdown, you can turn off the headings there. So the way to do that, what I can show you is this. You can go here. And again, because everything in Tinderbox is eminently, stop it, is eminently customizable. The two attributes that are handling the indent are quick indent and quick list indent. And you can go and just reset those to 0 if you want. And when you do that, and then you reapply the hit off. I got to shut some processing down on my computer. Hit all, and then go to format, style, reset margins, and then it resets the margins for you. And then you have a cleaner file too. So the output works, but sometimes you'll get an edge case there. If you're seeing that those extra indents happening, depending on Pandoc or Quarto or some of your other engines you're running through, you might see some squirrely stuff happen there. And the way to fix that, or I found the way to address that, is just to set your indents to 0. And again, you can do that at a system level, or you can do it at if you do it at a system level, you just need to go here and then reset it system wide for that particular file. you can reset the indents like that for the particular file, and then that way that file, those defaults will work across every note in your file. So that's another kind of trick I found along the way. You want to share with us what you're seeing though, Bill, and we can play around with it a little bit?
Yeah, my screen says someone else is sharing. You can
Yeah,
request.
yeah, I was sharing, so go ahead.
I'll try again. So I'm just gonna share my desktop.
Hang on really quick. And while you're doing that, I want to comment to Mark. Mark Bernstein, you're absolutely right. Pandoc can generate Word documents, and it does it perfectly. But what it doesn't do is the HTML heading 1 does not align to or match up with Word's internal styling system. So HTML heading 1 does not become heading 1 in Word. So you need to wrap your HTML as you passing it through Pandoc over to Word to get Word to do the translation that my heading 1 in this HTML is the heading 1 style of Word. It's just a little hat trick you have to put in your Tinderbox template. Otherwise, your heading styles you won't be able to edit heading styles once your document gets over into Word. That's the trick I'm pointing out.
All right, can you guys see my screen?
We can.
Okay, so I've got this. I made a file called Experimental Playground. And I wrote here some text, and you'll see number 1 is latex code surrounded by $signs. That took me a while to get to. If I write a 2 just using the built-in Apple put in a subscript 2 variation, things all work fine. If I use that H2 subscript in HTML going to Quarto, it works fine. If I change the format to PDF, the 2 disappears, the subscripts disappear. So this is where Mark Bernstein, you've got a point. I should write to um, what I want to write, which would forget all this code. But but I'm not sure how to do that. So I'm figuring, all right, I'll write it in LaTeX code, and that sort of worked. But what I write here, does text read for HTML get transferred to PDF using Quarto? No. Paragraphs and headers seem to work, but lists don't work, and subscripts and superscripts don't work. If they're written in LaTeX code, they work for HTML, not for PDF. How about Markdown? Tinderbox paragraph code. This is what I'm talking. And it didn't do it in the example that Michael Becker just put on, but this is what I found. But let me go minimize this
Okay.
for a minute.
Stop right there.
Sure.
I can see some problems right off.
Okay.
Okay. 2 things. The hunky-dory $ escape sequence that you're using to signal that this is about to be LaTeX is talking to, I presume, a Markdown post processor.
I think it's saying Quarto. It means sent through
Okay, so
Quarto.
it's talking to Quarto.
Yeah.
So Quarto is responsible for understanding that. Tinderbox neither knows nor cares about this.
Right.
Whoops.
And I don't care about it either. I just want to be able to display subscripts and superscripts and arrows.
Um, right, except that from when you and I were both really small sprouts, the problem of expressing simple chemical formulas with simple inline notation that could be written with a typewriter has been nearly solved, and it has stayed nearly solved ever since. It really is hard. I mean, because as soon as you're satisfied with H2O, you're going to want toluene, and and that enters a whole new world of hurt. And before you 5 minutes are out, you're going to want to do camphor, and that's a whole new world of hurt. Uh, these are hard. Uh, the other obvious problem is that if you look at your list, this is some sort of a list, but it's not a list that Tinderbox regards as a list. Tinderbox quick list is a paragraph that begins with either a star, an asterisk, or a bullet, or a hash sign. Mark Anderson, what's that proper name for a hash sign? Octothorpe.
So that's I'm not familiar with that because I'm still a newbie. This is Markdown for an ordered list. That's
Yes, but it's not okay. Uh, but if you're using Markdown export, that's fine. But if you're using Tinderbox's export, then it's got to be a bullet, asterisk, or if you want an ordered list, an octothorpe.
And the other thing to keep in mind, Bill, is Markdown, when you're doing lists and if you're using a Markdown engine, you want spaces. Spaces matter in Markdown a lot. So you want a line break between the 3 and the paragraph below. Otherwise, that you'll run the risk of it not exporting properly.
Yeah,
So
well, let me show you what happened. I mean, I can stay on here if you like, but I can also show you. I'm using Visual Studio Code as my IDE. So here's how it exported from my I'm using PDF latex, and I had to make this crazy. This isn't how a standard preamble for Quarto is, but I had to change it. But you can see how it got.
Right, because you have a paragraph beginning with a tab, which Tinderbox exports as a block quote.
Yeah. Okay. So if I change to that octo, whatever, Octothorpe, is that, did I write?
Yeah,
Pound
you
or
sign,
also
or
hash
or simply
sign.
use or simply use CommonMark.
yeah, and don't put a tab at the beginning of the line. The problem here also is there's another facet. So you're writing in what to the eye looks like a list. It's got a number at the front. It's indented. But basically it looks typeset like a list, as you would read on a printed page. But all the various things, Tinderbox, Quarto, and all these things have got to understand your meaning here, and it's a bit counterintuitive. So in other words, really, if you just put an asterisk at the beginning of the line in your original text,
Yeah.
you won't see, or sorry, if you put a hash mark at the beginning of the line, you won't see a one dot there. But later on, when you need to read it in its final form, it will come through. So basically, what you're signaling when you write in the text right at the start, you're saying just start a numbered list here, and if the next paragraph starts with a hash sign, it'll be the next one, and so on until a paragraph doesn't start with a hash sign, and then the software can say, "Oh right, okay, we're done with the list. We're back in doing text." It's counterintuitive because, understandably, you're trying to write in, as it were, in English or German or French or whatever that makes sense to you, because that's what you're doing. But here, in order to pump it through all these various other bits and pieces, it's easier to write it in this more abstracted style because there's less guesswork to go on under the hood. So you've done nothing wrong in terms of writing the list in the way you did. It's just that the software wasn't able to correctly guess what you'd intended by that.
Right. So what happens is, where'd my file go? I'm there it is. So that's why I said I'm a newbie. So,
Okay, so what you want to do here,
this junk and yeah.
So go back to your text. Go back to your test note. Select the line that starts one dot.
Yeah.
Just delete everything in front of the dollar sign until you're back at the left margin. in front of the dollar sign. And then just, yeah, okay. And now just put a pound sign or hash, whatever you like to call it.
Is that what you call
Yeah,
it? Is
and
that
a space, yeah.
Or the new word we learned of the day,
Yeah,
octothorpe.
I don't know where. So basically, and then you do the same for 2 and 3. Now the counterintuitive thing is you can't tell what number it is, but unless that's a concern for you whilst you're actually typing in Tinderbox,
Oh, I
then
don't.
everything else.
But the Markdown engine will automatically
Yeah.
generate that numbered list for you, even if the numbers are out of order.
So, for instance, if you now preview that,
Oh, you got to put a
if you-
space in front of the does to make it a proper list, and then after going, hit a line break after going, so that the tool knows this is a block of bullets.
now if you preview in Tinderbox, I think you'll find that.
Well, this is a
Do we have
problem
it?
having right now, and I'm not. I probably messed up some code and.
No, not to worry. If you open your inspector,
I bet
so
you don't have a templated sign is the problem.
Open my inspector. Okay.
Command 1.
Oh, that. Okay. Yep.
So that's and then they go to on the top row of buttons on the inspector. Go to the 2 angle brackets, and you're using the Quatro HTML page template. So the third box down, that's telling us looking at the screen what your file is using. That's why I'm asking you to look at that. Okay, so you do have a template set.
Right.
Just for a moment, just set it to HTML on the pop-up where it says template. Set it to HTML single page. Third one down.
This is going to work.
Yeah.
I got to change this to HTML.
Well, no, don't worry about that. We'll come back to that in a moment. So just go back to your main window and go back to the text. The inspector always stays on top, so you need to push that to one side. You can always get it back by commencing Command 1. Okay, now click the preview, and we should.
Yeah, well, we don't know what's in the
Look at the
HTML single note.
export.
I suspect he has nothing in the HTML single export.
I'm doing the very thing I tell people. I'm not doing the very thing I tell people. Mark's absolutely right. Look at the HTML, so we can see what's there. So, well,
he doesn't have the opening
HTML 's
UL
correct.
tags.
Yep.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't have the. Yeah, he does. OL tags. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah,
Yes.
this put in a regular list. This will work. But
Yeah,
it's
I wonder if the text is white. What's your style sheet say?
where am I going to find style sheet?
Yeah, so scroll up. I wonder if the text is there, but it's somehow been made white. No.
So anyway,
Preview command.
The preview.
That disappeared after I made some changes somewhere. And my guess is it's in one of these. I think this is as it's supposed to be. You know, these I tried to leave these unchanged. Preview.
Well, so that it works. So just go to your HTML note real quick, hit Command 1 and assign the HTML page style sheet or template.
Yeah.
And then go here and then use the HTML one.
that's
and it
what
could
we've
be
got.
it's that one. That's the standard one. Hit preview. And it could be because no.
This one?
No.
Hit preview.
Yeah, I bet try the extension. Maybe it's not understanding the extension, the QMD.
Well,
I don't know why that would be the issue, but click away.
Well, the extension is mainly just what's passed to the file that's written when you actually.
Yeah, I know.
Well, okay, I'm not sure what it is. File name that's just my name.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but in a normal file that I'm not futzing with, the preview works fine. So I've changed something in here.
So can you do us a favor? Create a new note. Just call it new note.
Well, if you copy the HTML note.
Yeah. Just create a new note.
Well, I don't see copying, but sure it's there.
No, just create a new note, call it new note. Okay, and now go to the HTML note and copy the text from that note. You can hit Command A or copy all that. Okay. Now, before you paste, stick your cursor in there and do a paste special. What is it? Shift
It's
Option
Command
Command
Option
V.
Shift. Yeah.
Is it this you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. So now you're pasting the text without any other extraneous stuff. Okay. And now on that note, assign the HTML page. It needs a template.
HTML page.
Yeah. Okay. And then hit preview. There you go. Right. So something in the text, you've got probably a hidden character or something within that text. I don't know. We can look in BB Edit and figure it out. But at least now you know it's rendering. And because you're rendering to HTML, you're not having a parser that's looking at your LaTeX to parsing that into LaTeX. If you had another parser like Quatro, then that would parse. That LaTeX would be processed.
Yeah, but yeah, I gotta go here. If I change this, if I get rid of all this junk and
Mm-hmm.
just put a um, s-
Okay, the cleanest way to do this, don't insert superscript. If you want to make it like a superscript too, use the
I
caret,
can,
use the what do you call it? The character next to the M. What do you call it? The angle bracket.
oh, that,
Yeah.
and then sub.
Not yeah. A sup sup, and then the closed character two.
Well, I'm going to put sub for
Sub.
subscript,
All right.
but and
Two.
then actually H sub. Yep, I got to go back.
Yeah, make it a two, and then you do the angle bracket again. Yeah, there you go. And sub.
That this will work for HTML, and I will tell you, because I've already done this, that it won't work for trying to render a PDF.
Well,
Uh,
that depends on which engine you're working with. I don't know if you tried Pandoc. There might be a Quattro issue. We'd have to just experiment with what's going on
right.
with that.
So what's happened? This is why when Karen, my wife, said, "I just use Word. It's easy." I mean, you're getting into the details of why it's not. So I'm starting with something very simple, just a darn list, and it's blown up into something that's quite complicated to get around.
If I may, the thing to do here is don't try and do too many things at once. So my advice when hitting this sort of problem is take all the other things that you're trying to get to work, say like LaTeX, don't use those at all until you've got lists to work. The reason I say this is that otherwise the temptation is to say, but I want all these things, and we do. But if we do one at a time, once you know the lists work, then if you add another thing into the mix, like your chemical equations, and that goes wrong, then you know where at least you know where the issue is, even if you don't have a solution for it. And I do the same myself. Because the temptation is, no, come on, it should all work. I'll just put it all in there. What could possibly go wrong? And you get something you don't expect. And then what's happening is you're trying to fix something, and it could be two or three different things, or more than one thing that's causing an issue. So as you work into this, I would suggest sort of don't put anything more than lists if you're trying to make sure lists work. Once you know the sort of the secret sauce to making the lists work, then put another factor in. So, I mean, I don't know, for instance, whether you can use something like smiles and get the chemical rendering to go out. The thing is, chemical formulae are not that far off from math, which gets really complicated really fast in terms of rendering. LaTeX has libraries to do this.
Mm.
Just as Mark I think alluded to, actually, I think chemical formula. I'm not a chemist, but I'm working with some at the moment, so I'm living through some of this. Is that the basic stuff like H2O quite simple, but you can also quite rapidly get into things that require more than a simple superscript or subscript. So it's actually just getting the first level of that doesn't really solve your problem. You need something that allows you, as a chemist, to put the so encoding that you understand that when it gets to the end of the pipeline will give you the correct rendering of the chemical formulae, and it sounds so you're going the right way with probably something that you're putting into LaTeX. So the fact that it doesn't make sense in the text at the start is just someone has to live with.
Well, and also too, and I want to make another really what I hope to be an insightful and really important comment. We'll see if it is. So your wife is saying, just do it in Word. Word is easy. But but let me make some comments on that. That is really, really relative, right? So how much manual formatting do you always end up having to do in Word? And the problem is every time you have to do it in Word, you have to then uniquely redo it every time you do a document in Word. Whereas once you actually figure out the process in Tinderbox, you never have to do it again. So there's, so where's the work? Where do you want to do the work? Do you want to do the work manually on the back end, or do you want to do the work in the front end to automatically set things up so that you never have to do the manual back end stuff again, or at least as minimally as possible? So that's one really important insight. The other important for me, at least, because I found that, and then I also found once I had that insight, I'm also then learning the language of computing. I'm learning the language of transformation. I'm no longer dependent on the puppy mill software that is Word, right? And continuing to having to pay certain subscription fees that I don't want to have to pay because I can do it myself. With any of these other tools. So there's a lot of value that comes in beyond just. So it's easy in Word is really, really relative, I guess, is the key insight that I want to make there.
Oh, yeah, and I'm a convert. I'm not going that way. I wrote my PhD in ML, but
okay. Now,
I've converted to trying to use this. Well, first to LaTeX, and now I'm trying to convert to something that's more flexible than that.
Now there's some other things you can do too, and I often talk about this in my methodology. I call it, separating the content from the structure and appearance. And so when you start putting in things like, well, sometimes you just need structure, the pound signs to show me ordered list, or the bullet signs to show me, or asterisks to show me an unordered list. But when you start getting to introducing subscript code like that, certainly plausible, really easy to do. Once you get comfortable with it, your eyes will just read past it. But sometimes you may want to create your own version of your own kind of shorthand, your own markup. So maybe you use
see
like
this H2O that I just created. I did that with text expander. I just type H2O and it automatically. That's a really easy thing to do.
Well, it is, and you can have text expander also do it with the subs. So if in your text expander, whenever you type H2O, it will also put in the HTML for you like that as well. So that's a quick way to do it if you're doing that all the time. The other quick way to do it is you can add your own markup, come up with your own character trigger that says, I want this to be a sub. And then you can have Tinderbox templates do a replace for you. Whenever you see this character pattern, replace it with this. And I do that all the time.
Yeah, I think that's what Mark was referring to. Just, write what you want to write and then have some system that transforms it to what output I need.
Correct. So that's the other way to do it. So it's incredibly powerful. The other thing to do, which and since we're at it, and it's kind of fun, if none of you mind us playing with this, we can actually show you how to so because when you write, what I found when I work, these bullets are interesting, but they actually mean something. So more often than not, for me, there is paragraphs of text of meaning behind that bullet. Like, what does that bullet actually mean? And so what you can do is you could actually create a note about that first line item bullet. So each one of those bullets could become their own note. Then you could use text that explains that bullet. And then you can have Tinderbox generate that bulleted list from the individual notes. And if you're interested in that, we can play with that right now, because that's a really fun exercise to do.
Well, yeah, if you want to put a note, let's do it here. So put it, instead of text here, put a link to a note.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting. So if you don't mind, let's play with this. So can you create, let's use new note. And actually, this is a really great exercise. So pause right now. So let's create. You've got this text. So let's say you've written this text. Whoops.
Wait a second. Here.
Okay. And now you want to kind of deconstruct it a little bit.
Okay.
So do me a favor and go to Note.
No.
Go to the Note menu. Hit Explode.
Okay.
Okay. And click on the break at delimiter. Okay. And then where it says /n, put in the pound sign space. Or my new word of the day, octothorpe. Okay. Now hit explode. Okay. Now go ahead and expand that note, that container. Explode. So you now see you've got text for each of your different notes. So grab those four notes and move them out of the explode container just below new note.
Oops.
No,
well,
yeah, you got it. You got it. You want move them all just below new note. No, not there. You go right there. Okay, and now delete the explode notes container. Okay, now just to have fun with this, here's some interesting text. So on that note, type the word introduction.
right where I am.
Yeah, no. So on the note, here's some interesting text.
On
The
You mean
note titled
here?
here, the note titled here is some interesting text. No. The
No.
note titled no. The note below, the note, you have a note called here is some interesting text.
No, it says here is some text. So that's what's
one.
confusing.
Yeah. Okay. Type, call that introduction. Rename that note introduction. No, leave that text. Rename the note introduction.
How about that?
Okay. Now hit enter. Now hit enter again. And create a note called bulleted list. Okay. And now move those 3 bullets underneath that note. This is super fun. You're going to like this. You can just hit the tab. You just hit the tab key too. Okay. All right. So now you've got these notes under the bulleted list. And so where you see it says, does HTML code translate to a PDF? Click on that note. Okay. And you can remove the text. Just add some gibberish text in there. Blah, blah, blah. Just not in the title, in the text itself. Just say like blah, 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 as if you were explaining this.
Okay. How's that?
Okay. That's perfect. Okay. So let's think, and now go up to new note and delete all the text in the body of new note.
Delete all this?
Yeah. So essentially you're writing your article, right? Your article called new note, it's got some intro text and then it's got a bulleted list, and that bulleted list is going to get created from 3 different sublists. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go now into your grab the HTML page template. Copy that, hit copy, and then hit paste.
I gotta go.
No, copy the note. No. Just copy the note HTML page template. Just hit Command C.
Okay.
And then hit Command V for paste.
Where? Command V.
Just anywhere, just right now. Just hit Command V. See, like you just copied that note. Now rename that note, call it Bill's page. Bill page. Get rid of the hyphen. Actually, don't you just call it Bill page, because sometimes. And then open up that container. Okay, and rename that to Bill item. It's a great little quick 101 on HTML template structures. Okay, so now go back up to the Bill page, and you see on the bottom of the list where it says Children Templates HTML page. You want to change that HTML to Bill and the other one to Bill. And this is a great example of once you've done it once, you never need to do it again. And then go
you
down
need
to
to rename. You need to rename the build page without a period in the name for it to
Oh,
work.
so what I just did was addressing the issue, but wrongly. So I'll
Yeah.
eliminate it there
Oh, I see. Sorry. Yeah.
and eliminate it
Okay.
here.
Okay. And then go down and go to bill item and do it there too. Okay. And then do one more thing for me before we move on.
You got to Bill Page, capital P.
Uh,
Right. Good catch there, Mr. Dave. And make sure you did it right in the first one too. Yep, capital P. Okay. Now hit enter real quick. Click on the bill page template and hit enter. You're creating a new note. Call this one list. Okay. Now go back up to bill. Yeah, we're going to do it in both places. So go back up to bill page. And underneath the children notes, just before the body tag, yeah, hit enter and type caret include.
was it?
Parenthesis this, comma, quote, no space, quote, no, the quotes, put in a quote,
Yeah,
comma, quote, list, and call it T list, sorry, T list, because we want to distinguish a template. Say lowercase t list. Okay, quote. And once you capitalize the L, and then close the parenthesis, and then add a new caret at the end. And then add another caret just to close it off. You don't have to do it, but for
I like
symmetry. I like the symmetry of it. Okay, so go down and rename your T list template to your list template to T list. Okay, now go back up to your bill page and copy that include. So what this include? This is export code, and so copy that whole line and stick it in the bill item note as well. So what this include line does is you're essentially put it in that one and put it under there. So what you're saying is, hey, Tinderbox, when you're rendering either a top level page or a lower level page, I want you to include this item as a list. Now, do one more thing for me. I forgot to mention in the at the beginning of that line. No, the beginning of the include line. Type caret. Lowercase, caret again, lowercase if, parenthesis, $, and then let's say is capital Y yes, so capital I, so is and the capital Y yes, or no, is list. Just let's make it easy. Just say is list, and then close the parentheses. Do a caret. And then at the end of the line, do a caret and say lowercase end if. And then another caret. So what you're doing here, and then you want to copy that whole line and then copy that up into the build page too. So what you're essentially, by putting that code in there, what you're telling Tinderbox is saying, if the attribute is list is true. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So this is effectively saying if the attribute is list equals true, because if you don't specify equals true, it will assume you're asking for true versus false. So if you wanted to be really complete, you could say is list equals true. And that might be easier for you to remember. But what that's saying is if is list equals true, then I want you to process this note with the template T list. I'm going to come back and show you something else really quick in just a second. So now that we've done that, why don't you hit command, go up to your bulleted list note.
Before I do that, I don't need
you can do it. Yeah, you can. Yeah. So you can do equals true there too. Okay. Now go up to your bulleted list note and in displayed attributes.
Should I go, you mean here?
Yeah. Yeah. And create an attribute called isList.
All right, display attributes. Is
No,
that,
yeah, the little spreadsheety icon on the far right. That's like one of the
Oh.
quickest ways to create. Click on that and then type is capital IS, capital L is list. Okay, click away. Just click away anywhere. Click into the text pane and then make it a list or Boolean. Sorry, make it a Boolean. So I name all of my Boolean attributes starting with is because then that just is a signal to me that this is a yes, no Boolean. So essentially then what you have there is you're telling Tinderbox when you process, and so check that and make it true. So what you're telling Tinderbox what the template is, if this notes is Boolean attribute is true, then I want you to use the include function in the export code. Now go down to TList and let's create our list.
Excuse me, did Bill Page have two includes?
It only had one.
There's one above the if. Is that still there?
Well, that's the one above the if. Oh, you do. Yeah, you're right. Delete that one.
Top one.
The top one. No, right above if. Good catch there, Frederick.
Fourth last line.
No, yeah, leave that one.
delete this?
Yeah, because you don't want it. You don't need it twice. Okay. So now let's go create our list. So go to T list. Okay. Erase that.
That's just a comment.
That's just a comment. Okay. Now you're in a template, and what you're going to do in this template is you want to instruct Tinderbox to create a list for you. So there's action code called action that allows you to write action code in a template. So to do that, hit the upper caret, the shift 6. Okay, the caret. Okay, type the word action in a parenthesis. No, lowercase a. Parenthesis. Hit a few lines down, create some space for yourself.
Can I put a tab in or no?
No, hit a few more lines just to give yourself some space. Doesn't matter. Hit a parenthesis and then another caret.
Close parentheses.
You close parenthesis and the caret. So what's going to happen is in between this export code called action, you're going to be able to write action code that Tinderbox will execute when this template is used. So now let's go ahead and start working and developing our list. So we need to first generate our list. So create a type the word var : list, lowercase l. Okay. And then after list, hit a space, type the word lowercase v, capital L list. So you're going to create a variable. Just v list equals. Okay. So you've created a variable, you're creating a list variable, and you're saying, what do I want to populate this list with? So you say, type the word collect.
I put spaces before and after the
Doesn't matter. It's up to you. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's however I choose not to do it because I can read it without the spaces. But when you're first doing it, sometimes the spaces are nice.
It's prettier.
Yeah. So type the parenthesis. Now, what do you want to collect? I want to collect the children. So type the word children in lowercase. Okay. And then hit a comma. And then you want to tell Tinderbox, okay, well, what from the children do you want to collect? Well, in this case, because I might want to do different stuff with this, I want to collect the IDs. So hit $capital ID. And then hit close parenthesis and a semicolon. So what's going to happen is when this template renders, Tinderbox is going to go and collect the children of the note that it's being asked to generate a list from. So hit return.
Need a semicolon.
Okay, now you need a semicolon, not a colon. Yeah.
Oh, the end of line.
Okay. Yeah, end of line. Right. So now you're going to create another variable called string. So hit variable : string, lowercase, and I just say VSTR, or you can call it V output, whatever.
Okay. Oh, it's a variable. Okay.
Yeah, variable V output or V string, whatever you want it to be. No, yeah, I'd say V output because string means something in Tinderbox. So use something that's not Tinderboxy. So V output equals not minus,
I'm like you when
equals
you
semicolon.
semicolon.
Okay, semicolon. So you're just like say now build me a empty output string. So now the next thing you want to do is hit a couple lines down. And now type the word V output equals.
Oops.
And we're just going to create a simple bulleted list, not a number list in this context. So hit V output equals and type quote left angle bracket UL close angle bracket / n or \n quote and then a semicolon. So what that is doing is that's telling Tinderbox, I want you to open up a list. Now do me a favor and copy that line because every HTML tag needs to have an opening and closing, and it's a really good idea to make them both at the same time so that you don't forget. So copy that. Just copy that.
List.
Okay. And now paste that, create a new line and paste that. And then close your list. So put a / in front of the UL.
Oh.
Right? Because you're closing the list. That's what that yeah, that's right. Okay, so you've now you're telling Tinderbox, open the list and close the list. Now, in between those two, you need to create the bulleted list. So how are we going to create the bulleted list? Well, what we need to do is we need to ask Tinderbox to iterate against the V list that you just created. And for each one of those items, generate for me a bullet. So here's how you do it. So you type vlist.each.
Can I out of just my sanity, can I put a
Yeah.
tab in here or
Sure.
no?
Yeah, you can put space, tab, doesn't matter.
Okay, now what do you want?
So vlist.each. Okay, and then parenthesis, and then create a label for the list. Now, I always put X because I want lower code, but for the purposes of this now, why don't you say n item? Yeah, AN, and then the word no space, and why don't you say capital I just to keep a camel case? All right, close parenthesis. So what you're going to say is for each list, I want you to create an item, and now put the curly bracket, open curly bracket. Okay, hit 2 spaces because you always want to open and close your curly bracket. And that extra period comes in because of Apple's auto replace in the keyboard shortcuts says you always need 2 spaces after a period. So if you often type 3 spaces in Apple, it will auto replace for you that extra period, and it's annoying. You can either turn it off or just remind yourself to delete it. So hit a couple extra space. Hit a couple. Hit a couple returns.
So now, how many spaces do you want? 2?
No, I don't want space. I want return. Sorry, hit return. I meant line breaks, not space.
Do you want it right where my cursor is?
Yeah, I want line breaks. So hit the return 3 times or twice. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now, it's rather than tabbing, just so you can have consistency. Sometimes it's better just to hit the tab key so it's on the same line as your V list, and hit a closed curly bracket with a semicolon. Okay, so that is your list operator. You're now going to ask Tinderbox to operate against your list. So in between the two, go up 1 line. So you're in the space, right there. Hit the tab. Now hit space. Go in 3 spaces. Okay. Now in here, you're going to say, what do you want me to do with this list? So what I want you to do with this list is I want you to say V output.
I forget if this is capitalized or not.
Yeah, it is. You just look above.
Yep, okay.
Okay. V output equals. Now you can do this all in one line, but I don't like to because it helps me to know what's happening. So V output equals quote left angle bracket LI close angle bracket, or actually no, yeah, and then the /n or back, yeah. So no, sorry, /n. That's a line break. That's telling the computer to introduce a line break. We'll show you the difference in that in a minute, and then hit quote semicolon. Okay, just like we did before, copy that whole line because you're going to also need a closed. And you can copy if you want to keep the tab and the spaces, copy the whole line all the way from the edge. Right? Copy that, and then hit a line break and hit paste. So now you're saying for each one of the items in your list, I want you to generate for me the open lead tag and the close lead tag. Now, in between the lead tags, create a line break.
Right here.
Yep. And then hit the tab and 3 spaces, just so you have consistency there. Okay. And actually, you know what? Do a favor, delete on the first line, delete the backward N. I'll tell you why in a minute. Or delete that because you don't actually need the line break there. Okay. Now go back into that empty space and type V output equals. And this is a great thing. Once you've done it once, you never need to do it again. It's lowercase v.
Oops.
Now, now you're going to tell, say, Tinderbox, what do I want in between these lead tags? Well, I want an item. Well, remember, what is an item? An item is an ID number of a note. So what do I want? I want the name of the note. So in order to tell Tinderbox which name of which note you want, type the word $, or type $, not the word. Name, capital N, parenthesis, and then an item. Okay, close parenthesis, semicolon. Okay, so let's look at what we've done here. We've said, and then you can remove that extra space between underneath the V output.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so look at what we've done here. We said, hey, Tinderbox, when you process a note that says is list, what are you asking it to do? No, I wouldn't indent that. What are you asking Tinderbox to do? You're asking Tinderbox to collect the children of those notes, grab the ID numbers of those children, and then in the template, open up a UL tag for each one of the children notes, create a lead tag, grab the name of that children note, stick it in, close the lead tag, and then introduce the closing of the list tag. So Tinderbox is going to do that, and everything in between the action export code, the action export code, is telling Tinderbox to do that processing. Now we need to take the input and stick it into the text itself. So at the bottom of the page, after the closing of the action code, hit a couple lines, and here you're going to say caret value. Parenthesis, V output. And you got a capital U.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that doing? That's saying, hey, Tinderbox, I want you to output the output of the action code I just had you do. I want you to output it in the template so it actually displays on the screen. Now let's play with, before we move and show the template, let's play with one more thing. Let's say we wanted to also have the text of the note in the bulleted list. So go back up to where it says V name. Actually, do me a favor. Go up to, let's make this a variable. So go up to the just below the just underneath that line under that list. Create a new variable called var : string. I'm going to tell you why we're going to do this in a minute. : string equals v text, capital T, equals $ text, semicolon. And now underneath in the V output name, $name, create a new line. And you want to type V output equals $text and item.
Oops. Oops, I just goofed.
Just hit undo. Just hit undo, yeah. Or captain, yeah, there you go.
V output equals
Text $item. Okay. And in front of the text,
in front of the text.
put quote in front of, excuse me, in front of $, put quote, comma, space, comma, or a quote plus.
Oops.
Space plus. No, you need a quote in front of the plus.
Okay. So wait, say again. Quote, comma, space,
quote, plus. So you're essentially saying here's the name of the note, add a comma, a space, and then put the text of the note in the list. Okay.
At some point, you don't forget you're rewriting V output on every line, so you need to use plus equals on the.
That was good call. I was gonna show like whoops, what went wrong comment, but let's play with that. So to show the what went wrong comment. So go back up to bulleted list.
So do you want this equals here or no?
No, not yet. Not right now. And get rid of that equals. I'll show you the point that Mark raised in just a second. So go back to the bulleted list.
Go over here.
Yeah. Okay. And hit Command 1.
That showed up there.
Okay. And assign the template to that note as the bill page. Okay. And hit preview. And it's not going to work properly because of the issues what we just had. You're on bill page. Okay. Yeah. And so hit text again. Is list. You go back to your template, your bill page. Is list equals true. And include this T list. Okay, let's go back to your list real quick. Your T list template and put the pluses in. And so where it says output, V output, and the leaves. In front, no, not there. In front of the V, after the word V output, hit the word plus. So what you're saying is add the lead tag, add this lead tag, and then the next line put a plus, and the next line put a plus.
It might just help. So Bill, what you're doing is the variable that you call V output, what the extra character you're adding says, take the value that you've got stored for V output and add to it the stuff on the other side of the equal sign. That's what plus equals does. If you put equals, it takes what's on the right-hand side of the equals and overwrites what you've got already. So as it is, you'd only get the closing li tag.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So
and on the last one as well. Yep. On the last V. There you go. Yep.
And then one on the bottom.
The
one. No, not there. That one right there. Okay. Now go back to your bill. Bill item. Your bill page. So is list equals true. Include this T list. All right. Just making sure this is correct. All right. And then go back to your bill page. Is list equals true, include this T list. All right, that should work. So go ahead and click on bulleted list again. And if you scroll down, you see you've got a bulleted list on the bottom. Now, what's happening? You're getting the children notes and the bulleted list. So what we want to do is we want to add another conditional. So on the go ahead and hit text. So go ahead and hit text. And now add a new attribute. This is a little trick I came up with about a year and a half or 2 years ago. Is no show child. Because Tinderbox is doing exactly what you're asking it to do in the template. And I'll show you this in just a minute. So go ahead and click away and make that a Boolean.
I forget
Click away. Just click into text. Just click into the text window.
Well, I'm there.
There you go. Okay, do it again.
So I need to make that display.
Click on the button on the far right, the displayed attributes. There you go. And say, is no show child. Okay, click away. Make it a Boolean. Okay, now go back to your build page.
I want to click this, right?
Yep. And eventually you'll put this in a prototype so it applies to every file that has this page. Now, where it says children, right before that, type the word, no, right before the children caret. Type if, caret, parenthesis. No, you're right. Caret in a parenthesis. You had it right. $ is no show children equals false. So if it's true, don't show me the children. If it's false, remember it's capital. I think the is was capital.
I think I did, yeah, which I shouldn't have done, but
no, it's fine. No, there is no is or there's no should haves. It's just whatever your personal style is.
Well, I know that general is don't capitalize the first letter.
Is no show child. Okay, equals false. And then close caret or parentheses caret. And at the end of the line, close the if.
I'm working on a small screen.
Yeah, right there. And put 2 carets because Mark in his standard template doesn't include the symmetry of having the opening and closing at the end. It's not that it hurts, but I like having the both. And then type the word end if.
There's only one at the end.
I know you only need one, but I put both just because it helps. Because you've got one for the children in the front and then the end, and then close the and then put a caret.
I see. Yeah.
Okay. Close caret. The upper caret thing. Close the if. There you go. Now copy that line into the item template too, just so you have the symmetry of it.
This is a 13-inch MacBook Air.
You're doing good. Now go down to build item. Yeah, I forget that I have a 49-inch monitor and then 2 37 inches, so it's I got all the real estate in the world. Do that around the no. You want to overwrite the child node above. No, that's your include list. There you go.
Wait a minute.
Copy that and then paste. So go over that and hit paste. No, don't copy it. Delete. You want to delete it and hit paste. You're replacing that line. Okay. And then delete the one that you put on the bottom of the page. Okay. So what you've now done is you said, hey, template, if this note says, don't show my children, don't show the children. And then this note will also have, but show my children as a list. So now go back and click on your bulleted list. And now preview the template. Now you got a bulleted list. Plus all of the text that explains the code. Or explains that bullet. Now, if we want to modify the template a little bit, and do me a favor, click on new note and intro. You can write, hit the command key and click on both of them.
Oops.
That's fine. You can do all of them. Okay. Now go ahead and assign the build page to each one of those just to make sure they're all build page. So you had it, and then just re-click bill page. That will make sure all three of them have bill page. Okay. Now, if you click on new note, or click away, click on any other note, just so like some note. Now click on new note. Now you notice new note intro. Here's some text, my bulleted list. Now go do me a favor. Go back to bulleted list and uncheck and hit text and uncheck those two items, list and no show children. And now go click on new note and click preview. Now you've got everything as a linear document. And now you can go back, click the bullets, and now you've turned some of your notes into a bulleted list.
So this one doesn't have it.
The bulleted no, the bullet. Yeah, you're fine. Go to the bulleted list. Now, if you recheck those, you're going to turn that back into a bulleted list. So now click on new note. Hit preview. Okay. Now let's do one more thing in the last couple minutes we have. Click on text.
Click on text.
Okay. On your bulleted list note, create me a new attribute that says is.
I'll capitalize.
Yeah, is list text. Okay. Click away, make it a Boolean. Okay. Now go back to your T-list template. Okay. Now here, what we want to do is we want to say, go and delete the where it says v text equals, the var string v text equals, delete the word text.
Delete this.
Yeah, delete that and the $sign. Okay. Now, just above v output equals, right there, just above that. Yep. Say if parenthesis $sign is list text equals true. Okay. Close parenthesis. Okay. Curly bracket. Hit a line return. One more line return. Close curly bracket, semicolon. Move the mouse key up to that space. Okay, type in like 3 dashes, or if you like the tab in, go ahead, tab in, whatever your structure is. No, just do it once. Okay, now you want to say v text equals quote, comma, space, quote, plus $sign text, capital T, semicolon. Okay, and then down in your v output, change your v output in the middle, and change that one where it says quote, comma, delete that where it says quote, comma, space. Down in the middle of the screen, in your each loop. Yeah, right there.
Delete
where
something.
it says, yeah, where it says quote, comma, space, quote, that line, text and item.
Oh, this guy. Delete the whole.
Leave that. No, leave that. Just delete that, everything after the equal sign. Okay, and type v text. So what you're doing is you're telling Tinderbox, if you're asking me to include the text, stick the text here. If it equals true, then you're telling me you want the text. If it equals false, I won't include the text. So go to your bulleted list. And look how is list equal. No, don't check that. Look how is list text is false. So click there. No, click preview. No, click preview.
Oops.
No, uncheck that. Click preview. You've just got a bulleted list. Now hit text. Ups, what did we do wrong? Oh, I know why. Go back to your go back to V list. Go back to T list. Is it spelled right? Is list text equals true. Go back up to your temp. What was the name of your attribute? Go to bulleted list.
Oops.
No, just go to bulleted list. Is list text. Okay. Go back to your T list. So what are we doing wrong here? If is list text equals true, then v text equals $sign text. What do you see there?
You need to do that inside the loop because the text will be different.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So grab that whole if statement.
All 3 lines.
Yeah, and paste that, copy that, and then copy it and delete it, and then cut it, and then paste it in the loop. So just after the before the first, where it says vlist dot each item, there you go. Hit enter, hit paste, and then where it says and then you can tab it in.
That's all right. I'll just leave it.
No, tab it in now, just because you never do it, you never follow. There you go.
Oops.
Right. No, you can do it. You do it one more. The good formatting is do it once more because that tells you it's in the list, and then do that twice because that one's the v text is actually in another sub list. So in front of v text, tab in once more in front of v text.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then after text, put an item because you're right, Mark. Thanks for calling that out. What we're saying is, go get me the text of this item. So after $ text.
End of the line. Yep.
Yeah. Type parenthesis n item because you're saying go get me the text for this particular item. Okay. Now it will work. So go back to your bulleted list. Or note, it's fine. And you can see it is list text is true. So go ahead and hit preview. There's a text included. Uncheck it. There's no text. So now this is a great example of you having like total flexibility on how your output's going to work.
Okay. With HTML.
With HTML. And then, but here's the thing. Once you've learned what Quatro needs you to do, you can say, if I'm exporting to Quatro, do this. And you can tell the template to do whatever Quatro specific tweak you need. So when I'm exporting to Pandoc, I have a whole bunch of different triggers that says, if I'm going to Pandoc to PDF, do this. If I'm going to Pandoc Word, do that. So that I can deal with these little edge casing, nuancy things that we've been talking about.
Okay. And the only reason I'm doing the Quarto is that it's been discussed in the forum and seems to be a little simpler, but I could just use Pandoc alone, I guess.
Yeah, because Pandoc does PDF just fine.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's value yet in using Quarto.
Bill, this morning there was a video posted to YouTube that demonstrates and the Tinderbox file has been uploaded to the forum. It's in the link in the chat there, or I posted some time ago. That demonstrates a whole host of templates designed specifically.
I think I saw that last night, and it's very complicated. It's it's at a level that's beyond where I am.
Michael Becker level.
So speaking of Michael Becker level, and we have hit the end of today's session, but I'd love to show you something that I've been playing with this week as we're wrapping up. And Win, you'll be interested in this, I think. So let me show you real quick. And then we'll just wrap up for the day. So I'm developing an application for Tinderbox specifically for anyone that's wanting to do project management in or like teaching classes in Tinderbox. And so the whole idea here is, let's say you have a a project that's starting at a particular date and ending at a particular date, and let's say there's a final, and this class meets on Mondays and Wednesdays, or it could Tuesdays and Thursdays, or 3 days a week. And I want to be calculating the class number and the week number. This class will last for 15 minutes. The holidays that will impact this class have certain holidays, or your work project or work schedule will have certain holidays. And so what I want Tinderbox to do is automatically generate notes for each one of my days of the project, so that I can then go do what I need to do for the project. And so watch what happens when I do this. So if I apply the full template, create class lecture days that include I'll just state for one. So create class lecture days. So in this example, Tinderbox has automatically gone through and created for me my class lecture days, including learning objectives, assignments, and assessments I have for every class, and is numbering the classes from 1 to 17 weeks, and each one of the classes is numbered. Then I said, okay, well, wait a minute, that's not enough. What I needed to also consider like the spring break. And so I said, no, let's go interject the code for the spring break. And so now when it does that, it says, okay, spring break durations are the 29th to the April 6th. So it's now it said, okay, these particular 2 notes are the spring break, and it's a party because no one's having to go to school. And the week numbers are adjusted so that we're not a 17-week course. We're only 16 weeks because we're on a break for a week. And there's no class numbers there because there's no class. And then we're said, well, you know what? That's not enough now. So let's go ahead and say, I want to also, in addition to generating the break, I need to account for holidays as well. So let's now account for holidays. And so when we do that, we also now have Tinderbox accounting for holidays. I did it twice. Just a minute. And then it will, actually, that one, did I break that one? I might have broken that one. Because I'll have to double check my code because I was just playing with it this morning. Let me just do one more. Whoops. I think I broke that one. So let me do the line. And then I can also account for the finals. And you'll see here, I broke the holiday one specific. So you see it counted for the holiday of Martin Luther King Day, Cesar Chavez Day here in the United States. And then the final is going to be on the last day in the class. And then what's fun about the script that I developed, if I hit delete and start over, you can see all the classes are Mondays and Wednesdays. But let's say the class actually meets say Tuesdays and Thursdays. I can go like that. And come on. And therefore, then it generates Tuesday, Thursday classes. And if it's meeting, say, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, so 3 days a week, go like this. Sweet. Come on. All right. And this is going to be the last test. You'll see it's generated. Oh, I did screw that because I didn't. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It's got to be a semicolon. It's a list. And stamp list. And you'll see now I've got Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes, and the whole thing is considering the different holidays and schedules and all of that. So this is a really great way to like quickly get up and running for a project or a particular class if you're teaching or something like that. And then I've been borrowing from, for my own teaching, I've been borrowing from Wynn's, the work we've been doing with Wynn. Oops. And I can show you the class that I'm actually finishing up this weekend that starts in a week. Come on. Where's my Cal Poly here? So I'm actually, let me do this. called Poly lecture schedule. Yeah. So this is a class I'm teaching starting on the 20th. So here are all the topics that will be discussed through this 15-week class. And I'm in the process of mapping those topics to all of the class days that we've generated using this, based on what, we've been doing with Win. And then once you've done that, which is really cool, you can take the ID number from your lecture notes schedule and then go into course structure, for example. And I'm saying, just like we were doing with Bill, hey, go collect the, for the topics, go collect the list of children, process them. And in this case, use the display expression cache, not the name of the note. And so when I generate that, when I generate my syllabus, it actually puts within my syllabus the lecture outline. So when I go generate my entire syllabus for my class, and this goes back to Bill's and everyone's desire to kind of be writing reports and stuff out of Tinderbox. You can have your entire syllabus be produced from all these sub notes. So here's my entire syllabus for the class, and all the tools that they're going to have to be using. Now I have to fix this list for the topics. I broke that one, and then the lecture schedule is now being automatically built into the class. So if I modify my lecture schedule, my syllabus automatically gets updated. So those are the kinds of things. And then based on using the HTML export, I can grab the HTML export, copy that HTML, and then paste it into the learning management system. So that way I'm maintaining my own learning management system, if you will, and not locking my code into the school system. And this forever becomes my my asset. So that's what I've been playing with this week. And just kind of stow I can't give it away just yet because it's not finished, but just to show you some of the methodology of doing it. You're doing like counting for breaks and playing with the different methods there. So it's pretty cool. So I thought I'd share that with people. And once it gets ready, I will I'll be able to show more. Thoughts, comments, reactions?
Talking pretty swiftly.
Yeah, like once you get it, and going back to the point we were making earlier, honestly, it was a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna. It took me 6, 7, 8, 9 hours probably this week, and I've been trying to do this like Win for the last couple years. But now that I have this set up, I can produce 10-week classes, 8-week classes, 4-week classes. I can produce 15-week project plans. I'll never have to do this again. And so unlike when I was in the old days, I would have to every class sit and spend that 4 or 5 hours manually renumbering them, manually moving stuff around in my Microsoft Word. And it was always, because I'm dyslexic as hell, it was always a pain in the ass. It was always filled with typos. And now I don't have to do that, ever have to do that again.
And,
and so
Michael, it's probably worthwhile because, I was saying to Bill earlier, break it down into parts. I think you can attest to the fact that, essentially that's what you did. You got the days looping round, then you added in the holidays, then you added
then
in
I added
breaks,
then I added in holidays, and then I added in finals. And then once that was working, I'm like, oh, let's make a little party badge. So we're off, we don't need a calendar icon. We're off of school. So let's create a party badge instead. And then the fun stuff starts coming in. Let's color them green. Let's make that one blue. And that's where the fun stuff can then start coming into play once you get that. But it's just that kind of incrementally building it along. And then the other thing that was really, really important with doing something like this is you can start writing code immediately just to kind of get your muscle memory and playing around with it. But very quickly take a step back and say, what is it that I'm actually trying to do? I'm trying to create a list of dates for a class that meets N number of times a week, meets once a day, that accounts for breaks, accounts for holidays, accounts for tests, numbers each week, numbers each class, and kind of set your requirements of what you want that to do. And then once you set your requirements, as you're going through it, you then can say, all right, well, what data do I need to fulfill these requirements? I need the start of the term. I need the end of the term. I need the dates for the holidays. I need And then you say, once I have that information, you say, where am I going to get that information? I'm either going to get that information from a hard-coded value in a prototype or in an attribute, or I'm going to need to calculate that information. And so if you kind of take a step back and think from an abstraction layer as you're doing that, kind of those requirement documents really, really help. And then Bill, just to hopefully you have the confidence for the journey you've put yourself on. I've just demonstrated you can write all the books and reports and articles and everything you want based on what I just showed. I mean, it's imminently doable. My last Mary Beth and my last book was 400 pages. And all majority of it done in Tinderbox. And what's really been fun with what Mary Beth and I did is we then leveraged and used ChatGPT. Here's our book. Produce 100 quiz questions, multiple choice questions, and give us the rationale and the section of the book for where that question came from. And so within like literally 45 minutes, I had 100 test questions for one of my chapters. Then I could then go through and edit and refine. And what was really fun about doing that is the AI was asking questions about stuff that it was interpreting that was in the book, but wasn't actually explicit in the book, which then made me think, I need to go back and rewrite part of the chapter to make that information more explicit, because the AI interpreted what I was trying to do, but really wasn't as explicit as I needed to be in my learning materials. And so that kind of using the AI interpretation as a coach was just insanely beneficial and saved Mary Beth, how many hours? Days? It's ridiculous. And then the great thing about that is you take that list of questions and stuff that the ChatGPT builds for you. You paste that into Tinderbox, and now you have a very specific pattern that you then can explode against, right? Hey, Tinderbox, go and explode all of these questions and create individual notes for me. So we took 100 questions, and within an hour and a half had 100 publishable ready questions to go to the publisher. Insane. And you can't do that with Word, not even close. So that's what I find really exciting about this. But to Bill's point, there is some early pain. And when we fall into that trap of convenience, conformance, and comfort. Word is a lot more convenient. Word is a lot more comfortable, and we all are conforming to this, puppy mill software, Word pages, and all that. So if you can break the conformance, comfort, and convenience cycle, and start saying, look, it's okay in the front end to be a bit uncomfortable, to not conform to the general ways of doing this thing, and to embrace a little early inconvenience, the back end is so much more flexible, and you've developed an asset for yourself, and your future self and enlightened self-interest will be so much more happier with yourself. I mean, yeah. And you've learned a lot of really cool things, and you've had fun along the way. So that's kind of my preamble for today. So hopefully that's helpful for you all. Good day, everybody.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I would say what we went through today to learn it is still in the pain stage.
Absolutely.
But
remember when you were riding a bike, right? How many times did you fall off? But once you've ridden your bike, it becomes muscle memory, and you don't even think about it again. Yeah. And the one thing we'll talk about next time, like what Mark was saying, like even today, we made a mistake. We put that text loop out of the each loop. So even as many times as I've done this, I continue to kind of make things like that. So, and then what we haven't talked about is, and we've done it ad nauseum in past meetups, but we can do it again now as we're all kind of ramping up our game, using logging functions to see what your action code is doing is critically important, especially when you're doing calculations like what I was doing for comparing dates. If these dates fall within a break, then do this. And 2 or 3 hours of the work was making sure the date formats were properly formatting so that dates could actually be properly compared. I was turning dates into strings, so I was comparing a string to a date. And that took me like 45 minutes to figure out. Once I figured it out, I'm like, oh, that was a stupid mistake. But once I figured it out, it was very clear. And the logging helped me see that. I was basically comparing a date serial number to an actual Monday, January 2025 date. And once I actually had the log so clearly show me that that's what I was doing, it was easy to fix. So we'll work on doing logging examples in the next few weeks of meetups. All right, everybody, that was fun. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate the exercise today.
Good. I'm glad it worked. I hope other people got something out of it too, but I did, at least.
Yeah. Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Michael.